We are consistently growing and adding new staff that have, each new hire has their own unique skill set they bring to the company that's helping PureAir grow and to innovate. We have sales in more than 60 countries around the world, so we clearly have a worldwide footprint, and we have offices in Amsterdam, Hong Kong, and Shanghai. And on the right side, there's some of the notable customers that we've worked with. This list is extensive, but just kind of wanted to point out that could be a whole presentation in itself. We just wanted to just show just brief listing of some of the different various customers and the diversity of the customers. So PureAir Filtration, again, is giving a little background. Now, we are a single source manufacturer for gas phase systems, the chemical medias, as well as all the monitoring tools, kind of what we're going to talk about today. We're an ISO 9001 certified company, which is a great achievement. This received our renewal, our annual renewal, so we are still licensed. We work in multiple markets, in multiple applications. In this presentation, we're just more focused on some of the monitoring, but just kind of want to mention that. And all of our systems are customizable solutions. So we're not a cookie cutter type company where we provide a system and we force the end users or consultants to make it fit. We can design our systems to fit any application, within the best of our abilities. If there's an application that challenges us, we sit down and look at all options, and usually we're able to figure out a good method and good solution for all. Different absorbent medias. We manufacture our medias in-house. The majority of our media is in-house. That gives us the ability to provide a top quality product, as well as ensure we're providing the proper chemistry for the media to remove whatever gases that may be present. So we can tailor make that media, that system, to remove various gases, so we can achieve that total odor control. Monitoring of absorbent consumption. That's really going to, monitoring of absorbent consumption and field monitoring of absorbent life are kind of together on this particular presentation. So we are monitoring that useful life of the media itself. And then from there, we can send that to end users and consultants. And we can also monitor it as well to determine the performance of the system. And we also offer laboratory testing for customers' media samples. So if there's any doubt or any question, the remaining media life of a system, take some samples, send it to us, and we'll test it at no charge. And just to give a little background about myself, to start with that, I've been with PureAir now 10 years, going on 16. So joined PureAir in 2007, worked for another gas phase filtration company previously. And after left that company, joined PureAir in 2007. So going on 16 years and still enjoying providing some good odor control gas phase filtration solutions. All right, just PureAir kind of versus other vendors when it comes to odor control gas phase filtration. We have typical offerings from some vendors where they're fiberglass tank manufacturers, fiberglass fabricators, very knowledgeable in FRP fabrications, but they lack that extensive knowledge of gas phase filtration and the chemistry behind it. So typically these different vendors will just fill up the vessels with a generic carbon that may work great for some gases, but it will not catch all of the gases. And with those generic carbons, there's really no accurate method or ability to monitor the media life with those generic carbons. And they also offer no in-house technical support that's backed by chemistry regarding total odor removal. And typically from our experience, they really have no interest in replacement media. So, and we think that's very important for us. The replacement media is a very important gear or cog in the PureAir business engine. And it's important. We want to ensure that a system has is functioning properly for the entire life of the system. So when it's time to change out that media, it can be monitored, and we can, work with the customers to change out the media to ensure that system is working at peak performance. That's important for us. And again, we work with many applications, wide variety of configurations and materials, as well as multiple monitoring options. We'll discuss a little here in this presentation. We also have high level technical support. We have a PhD on staff that has a background in chemical engineering with extensive knowledge in gas phase filtration. So that just offers, we just have that one more tool in the toolbox to really help customers provide that optimal solution. And we are, like, again, as I mentioned, focused on replacement absorbent business in that media to provide the customer with a long-lasting gas phase filtration system. All right. So I just wanted to briefly talk about gas phase filtration. Again, you've probably seen people from anyone from the past webinar, probably seen this particular slide that we've, and it's pretty common for us, but it really kind of briefly talks about gas phase filtration. I just wanted to fill this slide just to kind of touch on it a little bit more. So, particulate filtration versus gas phase filtration, whereas particulate filtration is more like dust, smoke, different liquids and vapors. So you can use different filters, whether it's furnace type filters, pleated filters, or mist and grease filters for dust, smoke, and liquids, because of the size of the molecules are large enough to be captured by those different mechanical filtration. Where gases are very small in size with very small microns, so mechanical filter will not catch those gases. So you need to use absorbent media to do that. And some of the common gases that we take out: H2S, SO2, ammonia, chlorine, VOCs, reduced sulfur compounds, just many more. And there are also different absorbent media for different gases. So that's something, as I mentioned, one of our key strengths is providing those optimal solutions. Now, this diagram in the upper right here that my laser point is pointing to is a fairly typical configuration for a gas phase filtration system. In essence, we have a vessel that holds, that houses the absorbent media. So whether that's the media is inside of a deep bed system with 3 foot bed of media, 4 foot bed of media, still has the same general configuration. So we have the contaminated air coming into the system. We're showing here spent media because this is already reacted with the absorbent media. It's already reacted with the actual gas that we're removing. And then here we have the active transfer zone. So this is called, that's basically we call it the working zone. So that's where all the magic is happening. That's where all of the odors are being neutralized in this zone only. And then beyond that zone, you have the unused media. Then out, you have purified air. So this working zone is going to make its way through the media bed at a particular speed, depending on the airflow, as well as the concentration level of the contaminant. So it's just working on. So what we're doing, we are measuring or monitoring rather that working zone, that active transfer zone. And that's how we use our monitoring devices. So here in the lower right here, this is our manual media bed rod that we've installed and included on deep bed systems since the inception of PureAir. That this device is inserted into a vessel, and as the media is being consumed, it'll discolor that rod. And then we just recommend checking the rod monthly or so, just to kind of gauge that progression. So that's our standard rod, but now with electronic bed monitor that we've developed, now we have taken that a step further using the similar technology for it, but just now it's more electronic now. Okay, absorbent media monitoring. So media life analysis, we will test the absorbent media life so samples are taken for for typically our units, or we've also tested other competitors or other vendors' medias as well. So we just recommend that the end users take a sample and send it to us, and we'll test that media life, that media for the remaining media life. And this is achieved under the supervision of our in-house PhD to ensure that we are getting accurate results. The media bed indicator that was shown in the previous slide is also shown here as well. That's I would like to say, our first generation or original media bed monitor that we've used on systems. And I'll discuss that a little bit further. And anyways, just inserted into a deep bed system. And you could just, remove that rod to gauge the progression of media usage. An electronic bed monitor is what we're going to discuss today. And we also have air quality testing, corrosivity test kits, and environment corrosivity monitors. Again, there's whole presentations on just those devices alone. So we'll save that for another webinar, but just wanted to kind of mention them just to show the kind of the broad reach in our capabilities at PureAir, kind of some of the devices that we use. All right, so I wanted to, compare our odor control systems, gas phase filtration systems, like a luxury sports car. Typically you're out, if these systems are installed, we have wastewater plant in some affluent neighborhood or any neighborhood. We try to avoid those. You want to avoid those odors so that the neighbors don't really start sending in complaints. So, I wanted to compare this to a sports car, as as the neighbors, they see this beautiful odor control system, like a sports car driving through the neighborhood, headed to the odor control, the wastewater plant, pump station or lift station, to remove all those offensive odors. So that's, that's the importance of a gas phase filtration odor control system. So again, for any sports car, it's either going to run on gas or electric, but it needs fuel to run. And each vehicle is equipped with a fuel gauge. So the driver knows when to refuel before the car stops. So you don't want to stop on the side of the road in some remote location, no cell signal, so you're just in trouble. You have to walk to the nearest, convenience store. It could be 40 miles away. Well, odor control systems need fuel as well to run properly, and that fuel level needs to be monitored. So instead of waiting until odor breakthrough, at that time, it's too late. So, and you're stuck on the road, stuck on the side of some remote road with odor breakthrough, and not being a good neighbor. So that's I would say that's our motivation in developing some type of bed monitor, so that way we can ensure that these systems are performing, they're optimal, and there's no one's getting stuck on the side of the road. So again, the replacement media is the fuel for these odor control systems. So here in this slide, just showing typically of a system where we have two different types of medias, which is typical for us. That one media acts as a roughing media to remove a certain gas, whether it's in this, for example, we'll say H2S, then you have some type of polishing media. So that's the fuel for the system. And we just have that's that replacement, that model, that our business model that I discussed previously. So we got to make sure we're keeping an eye on this fuel. So how do we monitor the fuel? We get media bed monitoring. So as I mentioned, this was our first generation manual bed indicator, or the original. So it's, in essence, it's just a silver rod that's inserted into the media bed in the deep bed system at a 45-degree angle in the direction of airflow. So as the media is being consumed, the rod is reacting in that working zone. So end users are able to pull out the rod and kind of gauge that progression. So really it's acting like as a dipstick. We're just measuring that fuel level. We kind of recommend that once the rod is about 50% used up, we recommend sending in samples to us, and we'll test the media just to confirm the remaining media life. So it is definitely a step up from using the nose approach to determining when it's time for the media replacement. Once you have breakthrough, it's too late. And typically the breakthrough will happen at an inopportune time. July 3rd, right across the street from some huge festival, you will have odor breakthrough, and there's no way to react and change out that media fast enough, especially in times we're in now with material shortages. It's definitely prudent to be able to, or helpful to be able to plan accordingly and plan in advance for media change. So this manual rod, we still install it on our systems now, our deep bed systems, and we have great success. Customers, they really use it. We have one Dannon yogurt plant in Minster, Ohio, where we just changed out the media for their system today, and various Suez plants, as well as we have systems with the media rod, the manual media bed indicator, also in Michigan as well. So these customers, they really rely on that rod. So very, very, very useful and helpful. So the electronic bed monitor. So this one, you could say, was our first generation EBM. So what we started with. So this rod was equipped with 10 sensors, 10 sacrificial sensors that were you can see in the screen here, in the diagram here on the rod. So and this rod had the same general installation where it was inserted 45-degree angle, at a 45-degree angle into the media bed. So as the rod reacted with the working zone, it would corrode those sensors, and then it would send that signal back to the control panel or EBM control panel. So that's the way we measured remaining media life. So the system, it was a smart system, PLC. It would detect the changes in the media life, so we can use that to calculate the remaining media life left. So when these systems were installed, we would set it up and say we would theoretically predict the media life of the system. But over time, things change. So we may design it, okay, it's running 24/7, here's the odor levels, and it's gonna run 24/7, here's the airflow. Well, for any reason, if it only runs 5 days a week, well, that will affect the media life. So this device, the EBM, would calculate the actual time to change the media based on usage, so which was very helpful and very accurate. Then we can also, it's designed to send alarms, all cloud-based, so we can send alarms, whether it's via text message, emails, to anyone, end users as well as engineers, to monitor the media life of the system. And we can also monitor it as well at PureAir to help have any added support if needed. Again, very accurate for monitoring media life. You're not dependent on sending in samples to PureAir right away. You can actually just look at the screen and read it, whether it's the email, whether a message is coming to you, or you can read it locally at the EBM control panel as well. So it's more of a proactive approach to media replacement versus being reactive. All right, so the technology evolution of the EBM. So we started off with the first generation EBM, but now we've actually, due to technological advancements, we've transformed it now to, we're calling the EBMv2 or version 2. So let me discuss that a little bit more. So we're no longer inserting the rod into the media bed, and the control panel or the brain for the EBM is now much more compact. So I'll discuss that. So now we're installing these 6 sensors on the 6 sensors in series on the exterior of a deep bed system. So which now that feeds back into the compact control box as well. So so for that, and kind of the reason why we're doing that, we're first to the market with this electronic monitor in the industry to give those live readings of absorbent media consumption. I know the owner of PureAir, Kevin Jamison, has been really, this has been a, let's say, an innovation that he's been thinking about for probably the last 25 years. And now technology is able to keep up with them. He was able to figure out with the, with our engineers to figure out, okay, this is the best way to do it. So, we've come across with some people, some vendors don't have this, and, it's really not a, end users shouldn't be punished if, other vendors aren't coming up with this technology to help monitor that media life. This is a programmable logic controller that where we're taking measurements from each of those 6 sensors, and that's reading that back into the control box. And this is monitoring the changes, and it also calculates the remaining media life. So it's really the same technology as the first generation, just improved upon. Again, we're alerting customers and the media is partially or completely consumed. So those can be set up at different intervals, whether it's, hey, give us a signal when the media consumption is reduced every 20%, or wait to a 50% consumption, and then send that alarm, or so on and so forth. And it's also equipped with cellular communications and GPS, so that way we can identify the exact location of the unit and when the change out is needed. So that way, sometimes these units are installed in remote locations, and so something that can be difficult to find. So the GPS equipped is we're able to locate them quickly. All right, so why did we change to the EBMv2? So better access to sensors and also new and more sensitive sensors. So now, before, when we had the rod inserted into the media bed, it used to be more of a challenge to get to those sensors. Is getting access into the rod, it could be a little challenge. So we decided, hey, this is a better way of doing that. So you have these external sensors, and you have access to them to do, perform any diagnostics or checks on the unit. Now it's available for multiple gases. First generation worked well for typically hydrogen sulfide. We had some chlorine applications with the first generation, but definitely worked better with H2S. But now with the EBMv2, we can use it for multiple gases. So H2S, very accurate, chlorine, etc. So multiple gases that we can use, that will measure and provide that monitoring ability. And also, we keep the sensors, having them mounted externally avoids any moisture from interfering with the performance of the system itself, or of the EBM. Because in the past, when we had the generation 1, the first generation with the rod, if we retrofitted it and the customer didn't have a great mist and grease filter, or just so much moisture was getting into the system, it was a challenge for the rod, and then in some cases it could provide some inaccurate readings. So now we were able to, so it was decided to, if we can mount this externally, that will avoid that potential issue. And also it added some benefits, making it easier to access, as I mentioned previously. And also with the lower costs as well. As technology advances and electronics become less expensive, we're able to, change the systems and change the configurations of the units that make it better, more affordable for our end users and for ourselves as well. Again, I mentioned cloud collection of all the data is now possible, and we are working on a solar power install as well. So that way these systems can be run on solar power, which will make it much easier versus connecting power to the panel itself. Because that control panel, if I'm not mistaken, takes 24 volts DC, There just needs to be power to it, but with the solar panel option, that could eliminate that. And again, easier media change outs, and now you don't have that rod in the middle of the media bed where you're trying to do a change out. So, or removing that and then reinstalling it. So it just makes it a little more easier for the end users, because we try to make it as easy as possible, for that change out, so we can keep that system optimized. All right, so primary company focus. So we're just providing that proactive approach to media replacement and not a reactive use your nose approach that allows for breakthrough odors. And that I wanted to put this in the presentation because I've heard from a different vendor. I won't mention any names, but when someone asked them about media monitoring, and their response was, "Well, you don't really need any advanced electronics. You can just use your nose." So so that means you're telling me that I use my nose, so that means the unit has failed. So now I have to react to that failure versus being proactive. It didn't make a lot of sense to me. So I think the proactive approach would be the way to go, and I'm pretty sure that the neighbors would appreciate that as well. And like I said, again, and end users, they can monitor the most important aspect of an odor control system or gas phase filtration system, which is the media. Without the media, the system is no good. So I think it's important to monitor that media life, because when as we thought about it and we talked about when we developed this technology, in wastewater applications, just about every process is monitored electronically, whether that's temperature or flow through the pipes, airflow, pressure. It's all monitored. So why not monitor the media life as well? I mean, no one's waiting until the temperature goes to some critical level before they're reacting to it. No, you try to catch it before it reaches that critical level. And the media is the same as well. And again, as I mentioned, more like a fuel gauge. You don't want to run out of gas too soon. So you keep an eye on that gauge to know when it's time to refuel. All right, some of the benefits kind of touched on. So again, make this part of the customer's design. So by adding it to the specifications, that will ensure that the system, we'll have a system that'll provide all the useful benefits of monitoring the media. And it also ensures that the plant will be a good neighbor. So ensure there are no odors mitigating through the system, because we're catching that through the odor control unit, gas phase filtration unit, and then also we're monitoring that life as well. The retrofitting. So the systems can be, most systems can be retrofitted, with the electronic bed monitor. Electronic bed monitor V2, only on deep bed systems at this time. We're working on the technology to monitor on cassette style systems, but we haven't completed that yet. But we're looking into that as well. And I also wanted to mention that the EBMv2s also can be licensed to other vendors for installation as well. So we are talking with a few different vendors about that licensing. So we just had some discussions, but I wanted to mention that it is available to all odor control vendors to make it a part of their specifications to ensure, again, the bottom line is making sure that the end users are getting a product that's going to work for them and their neighbors. So I just wanted to mention that. I know there were some questions about whether it's available to the vendors, and it is, and we are working with some to talk about that. And some notable installs and some specified projects with the EBM. Again, there's quite a few more on the list, but I just wanted to mention we have some installed with Associated Engineering. Just had a project with Brown and Caldwell from Potomac Yard Pump Station in Virginia that the EBM was specified, as well as just a recent project in New Hampshire where it was also specified as well through a different engineering company with Jones and Henry. So, we have quite a few installations, more than this, but just wanted to keep it brief. And in some cases, we also work with San Francisco Public Utilities out in California, SFPUC. But we are, in some cases, looking to upgrade a lot of our end users to the EBMv2 version of this of the rod, just to give them that added, give them the better technology as well as the added benefits of this. So that is the end of my presentation. Are there any questions? Q&A. All right, this is from Daniel. Okay, Perino. I hope I'm saying that right. But he said, can the EBM be used to monitor media from other brands? That is a great question. It's hard to say because I'm not sure where the other brand of media, and we can't really vouch for the quality of the media. So it's hard to, or the performance of that other media. So it's hard to say, but what I would say, if we can work with end users, if they have another brand of media that they like to use, well, send us the specs on it, and then we can see if we have something comparable that we can provide, and that way, and see, and also get a feeling for their price point as well. So that way, we can work on sending them the EBM and some of our media to see how it works out. But with that said, we would like to see the specs of that media, and then we can take a look at it. But if the system that's out there, just say someone, a competitor system or another vendor system with their media in it, I would say we could start off by, hey, sending us samples of the media and we'll test it before, that way get a feel for what the media life on the unit before we, go through the exercise of retrofitting the EBM on the system. So then that way, if the media life's low on the current media, then maybe we could work out something where we, provide the media and then also the EBM, get that installed, and then you can test the system out from there. Then once the EBM's installed, and if someone decided to put another media brand in there, we wouldn't necessarily monitor it, but the EBM itself it could be tested and see what happens. But we recommend just, we can provide the media from there. All right. Any other questions, or see the chat? Nope, nothing in the chat. Well, if there are no other questions, I will go ahead and end the presentation. But again, I believe this is being recorded, so hope I was able to answer some questions and give a little bit more information on the EBM. I could really talk about the EBM2 all day. I think it's just going to be important. It's going to be a wonderful device for end users out there, and we're just looking forward to, just as the technology advances, keep advancing our systems. So again, thank you very much for your time. If you have any questions, please feel free to give us a call, email. You can also, my email address is there, but yeah, you can also reach out to us via our website, and we'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you very much for your time. And with that, I will sign off.